time to gather around the radio for another episode of Comic.Church. Hosted by Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbro, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay, and the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray. Broadcasting live from the K-Talk Studios, KBJA 1640 AM, and streaming live with video on Facebook. And now, Comic.Church.
Hello. Well, that was a little how. Well, hello. Happy Sunday, everybody.
It is Sunday. It is the day after. It was Drew's birthday yesterday.
Yes, happy birthday, Drew.
I did get older.
Drew was up partying last night.
Partying at my house.
How old are you now? 26?
You didn't
26,
invite us.
yes.
26.
26. I am in the final season of my 30-somethings.
Oh, no.
It's a little sad.
It's a little sad,
It's
but
a
you
little
know,
sad.
it's only up from here. I'll tell you, having gone through that 2 years ago, and it's the rest of your life is in front of you.
I wish there was a way, though, like I could Benjamin Button my way out of this existence. Like, I don't know.
I would love that.
The older I get, the more appealing that whole concept sounds.
You're going to turn 40, Drew. How does it get any better than that?
Turning 38.
What else is possible?
Yeah. Let's
If I could turn back time. Yes. So, yeah, I had a birthday. Drank a couple bottles of wine, had a few mimosas, and still feel it a little bit.
So Drew's hungover this morning.
Got my Gatorade. Although they're not sponsoring us, but if you'd like to sponsor our Sunday morning hangovers, Gatorade, give us a call.
I don't know what's going on. In my old age, if I drink the night before just a single beer, I get a big headache the next morning. I'm not sure if it's like my old age or something's going on.
That's how it is for me with the hard liquors.
Okay.
So like,
see, the hard liquors aren't as bad.
It's the sugars. Okay, so I learned this when I
It's the sugars.
when I was in my heavy addictions and stuff like that. And so the more sugars in the alcohol, the higher and the worse your hangover is going to be the next day. And that's why I switched. I switched from like your browns and your reds to clears.
Oh, interesting.
The more clears
Okay.
is the less sugars.
Because I like my whiskey, and that's a
got
brown.
some sugars.
So I guess if I get the right whiskey, maybe a little lighter.
See, I stick to
whiskey.
the wines. Luckily, I don't have that much of a problem with hangovers from wines.
I switched to the whiskeys and tequilas and
Tequilas,
and vodka. You can get the silver and the blanco tequila. It's clear, but vodka, they're low in calories too. So if you're trying to not gain weight, it's good.
But the best way to do is just be sober, like me.
Yes. Yeah. Sean's doing it the right way.
So he's doing it the other way. The other way
One
is
way.
with every drink, you also take a drink of water.
And, that helps too.
Yeah. No judgment anywhere here, but it's you got to do what
if you're gonna do it. There was always I wanted to do when I was drinking and things back in the day that I don't abstinence now. I wanted to do an app that was like a drinking buddy app for people that didn't drink in their early youth and everything. That kind of taught you how to get into it. In Utah, was very much needed.
Yeah.
And it was what kind of taught you how to kind of work your way into it, because someone that doesn't drink a lot in their youth or is very uneducated in it, all of a sudden starts drinking at the age of like 30 or 40 or something. And they just like jump right into it. And they go to the bar and be like, oh man, I want to drink that. I want to drink that. Instead of someone that kind of, okay, let's do this. Let's step you into here. Here, try this.
Well, you also just described every BYU student who does their first bar experience. They are the worst drinkers to be around.
The Utah
rum springer. Slow down. Yeah. Holy crap. I've seen so many people just passed out. And they're like, I don't like it anymore. I'm like, yeah, well, it's called moderation. That's one thing that you have a hard time with.
I think this makes us one of the very few shows on the air in Utah that talks about alcohol is something that's not evil. There's another good one out there that I really like.
Do you think we could get DABC to be a sponsor?
I know one of the commissioners there, so we should have her on the show.
We should. That would be a fun episode.
Yeah, if she's willing. I don't know if she can represent DABC, but she's a very passionate anti-abuse advocate, and we can at least have her on for that, and we'll see if she can talk about her DABC role or not. So
one thing I did do on my birthday yesterday, I finally saw Lion King.
Oh, I still want to see it.
It was I saw it in IMAX.
Take the kids in a couple
weeks.
Amazing.
It was amazing. I don't know. I'm not ashamed to say this because almost everyone I've talked to has had the same response.
I've heard really good things.
But from the very first, Disney presents, and then the song hits. It's like, like just emotional. I don't know what it is. There's like a spell or some sort that Disney has put over our generation, but it was magical.
I think that's like one of the most well-known intros to a Disney movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because you put on most of the others, but this one has that music.
Have you seen it too, Sean?
I haven't. I've heard enough about it.
Yeah, I have too.
I wanted to take my kids, but they didn't really have any interest.
We should both take our kids together.
It is amazing.
I've heard.
They did a lot.
Tell me this.
So they did a lot, not entirely, but through a lot of the sequences, yes.
Okay.
The important sequences.
Because I'm hearing there's enough things that are just the similar that go watch.
Well, and so the
cartoon.
Director was very adamant. He's like, we're not going to we're just creating what is a treasure to so many people and just redoing it in a new format.
That's what I didn't like about Aladdin. For me, is it did not. I mean, a lot of people liked the new Aladdin. For me, the new Aladdin did not maintain the integrity of the original that I grew up with, and that was just me. I think for others it actually did. So but I'm actually really excited to see this because I've heard a lot of really good things. I hear the new music is really, really good.
There's a couple new.
Yeah, so there's a new Beyonce song. The music's great. Here's one thing that was it creeped me out a little bit. And we've talked about it here.
Scar's got a new song, or there's more to do with Scar.
They shortened Scar's song.
The song is shorter, but they gave him more time.
Yes, Scar's musical event at Nuremberg was shortened a little bit. No, but so we've talked about this on the show with simulation theory. Like, do we exist in a simulation? And up until this point, it takes a lot of computer processing power to render a realistic virtual simulation.
Yeah.
You could see the artifacts. We've seen those memes going around, Toy Story 1 versus Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
I'll have to tell you a story of Forky and my daughter that we just started here in a second, but keep going.
Okay, so as I'm watching this, realize at first I was thinking, oh, they got the high definition cameras and shot the wilderness, and then they animated the animals in there and whatnot. No, the whole thing is fully simulated.
Wow.
And
I hear it's pretty realistic.
I could not tell.
Oh, the other thing they did is they shot it in VR. So the guys that were making it had on VR glasses or goggles.
Yeah.
And were in the scenes.
They had to render the whole environment.
Yeah.
And every blade of grass is different, clumpings. It was so disturbing because a thought then came to my mind. If we now possess the technology to create a hyper realistic virtual environment that you cannot distinguish from regular environment, what's not to say that future versions of ourselves created this simulation that we're in now, because all it now depends on is processing powers.
If we can see it, it's very possible.
We're going to be Matrix.
So yeah, it was. I have a lot.
It's potentially even greater than that. We talked about E8 theory and the idea that we're all projections of a greater consciousness, and I think it's even greater than if there's something like that's greater than we can comprehend in terms of if we're all shadows. All of this is a shadow of something much greater that we can't even conceive. I've got a little thing that I've 3D printed, and I'll show it to you guys. We'll show it on the camera here and stuff. It's like a sphere, and it has little openings in the sphere, and it looks like a sphere when you're holding it up like this, but you take a light and you shine the light down on it onto a piece of paper, and it creates a square grid pattern on the paper, and it's a real life representation of what our 3D, 4D reality is right now. We see these grid patterns, whereas the reality is that sphere. And,
so we'll go back. I wanted to mention, talking back to Lion King. So it is doing
on task.
It is doing very, very well in the box office. So world box office, it is about $963 million. So it's almost hitting the $1 billion budget. So that would be the fifth movie of this year that will be
Disney's
it'll
raking
break
in the bucks.
$1 billion. Because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did come out. That's the new one with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. That one only made about 35 mil this weekend. Let's see. Number 3, Spider-Man brought in 12 mil. Toy Story at number 4, 10 mil, and then that new Crawl movie at 4 mil.
I'm wearing my Nine Inch Nails Captain Marvel shirt.
That was one of our $1 billion movies
in these numbers because it's our generation that is raking in the bucks for Disney right now.
Yeah, he even has the nipple inserts.
I have the nipple
inserts.
his
shirt as well.
Through here,
and then next week, this week coming out is the new Hobbs and
I'm working
Shaw.
on that with my exercise routine. That is non-existent right now.
to make the nipples poke out more, or to
Drew is eyeing.
Drew's
no,
very
it's like bowling, but I'm wondering if there's actual exercise for that. Is that
I don't know if there is. I'm talking about like actually.
I don't know.
Building out pecs. Maybe the nipple inserts still exist.
So yeah, we got off topic on that, but we're coming up on break. But when we come back, we have the candidate for Utah governor, currently the lone Democrat, Zach Moses, and we're going to be talking about spaceports, the future, becoming superheroes, and
I want to talk about a holiday called Chicken Smash.
And Chicken Smash.
Don't talk about chickens.
And something about pumping salt water to refill the Great Salt Lake. So
watch us on Facebook.
Yeah, watch us on Facebook. If you're listening from the car, petertingle.org will take you to our Facebook page. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
This is Pastor Drew, the Fairy God Bro. The Comic.Church pastors and I, we're looking to take Comic.Church to the next level. But we need sponsors who support our vision and our mission to achieve that trajectory. If you or your company would be interested in being our sponsor for our Sanctum of Spirituality, please reach out to us, either through our Facebook page, Comic.Church, or through our website, Comic.Church.org. Come on now. Who wants to be our Bruce Wayne sugar daddy?
Stay away from religious topics, not here on K-Talk. Listen each Sunday evening at 7 p.m. to The Interpreter Show for fascinating religious discussions, hot debates, and the latest in religious scholarship, archaeology, and ancient documents. Whether you're Catholic, Mormon, Protestant, agnostic, and atheist, or something else, you'll want to listen to The Interpreter Show Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. here on K-Talk. You gotta hear it.
Military life is rewarding, but it isn't always easy.
Managing the stress can affect even the strongest warrior.
But I will stay mission ready.
I will keep my mind and body fit.
Talk to my chaplain.
Seek care early.
Strive for progress, not perfection.
I got this.
I got this. Take the first step.
There's no better time than now. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Visit realwarriors.net or call 800-874-2273.
America is built and based on liberties and freedoms. Liberty HealthShare brings that to healthcare. The liberty of choosing your own doctor. The liberty of choosing your own hospital. Liberty HealthShare makes healthcare affordable to millions of Americans. Ignite your liberty. Sharing plans starting at $199 for a single, $399 for a couple, and no matter how big the family, only $529. That's $529 for the entire family. To learn how you can save, go to lightyourliberty.com. That's lightyourliberty.com.
Hey, this is Stan Ellsworth. Believe it or not, I wrote a book. Yeah, man, it's about the heroes of the American Revolution. Kind of like the motorcycle culture, same mindset and all. You can get yours on Amazon today. So, man, get your Patriot on. Let your spirit of 76 shine loud and proud, baby. Get you some. Renegades and Rebels. That's us, man.
Welcome back, comic fans. We now return to Comic.Church, leaving you right where we left off before the break. And now here's your host, Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbrother, the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay.
Welcome back to Comic.Church.
We're here.
So let's welcome to the conversation our guest co-host for the day, Zachary Moses. Welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show.
Good to have you.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I'm Zachary Moses. I run the world's largest land-based gay and lesbian tour operator. It's LGBTQ. So the Q are people who maybe don't fall into those other categories. Trans people, you'd be surprised just how many trans people are out there, and you have no idea. And they'll be on our tours, and then they'll come out at the end of the trip.
I have a son who's trans, so
yeah,
that's
right
cool.
on. Right on. Yeah, my nephew I guess niece now just came out as trans.
Yeah, it's an adjustment getting used to the new pronouns and stuff, but love them to death.
Oh yeah, and it
takes a little time to change patterns, but
yeah.
Oh yeah, she'll be beautiful too.
Yeah.
So you own a LGBT travel own and operate a LGBT travel agency.
Yeah, well, it's we're an international tour operator.
Okay,
so we have
okay.
a full service travel agency
that
will literally take you all 7 continents. And then
how do we find what's the name of that? Like, how do we find that online?
hetravel.com.
hetravel.com. I'm going to throw that up in the
really
comment
cool.
section.
Yeah, it's mostly gay men who travel with us, but we do get all the other groups there. So the gay guys usually just refer to it as he travel, sort of like He-Man or
that's
something
cool.
like that.
Yeah, I like that.
And then we've also got outwestadventures.com, which is a newer brand, and it's not LGBTQ. It's just all welcoming to everybody.
So do you do tours to Antarctica?
Yes, we do.
Have you done any?
I haven't personally joined the Antarctica tour. The one time I was going to go, my business partner was like, you're a lot younger than me.
Yeah.
You've got plenty of time to go to Antarctica. And he pulled rank and took the trip, but we go every year.
That is, so I spent a decade in the military. And I think one of my biggest missed opportunities that I regret was not being able to get selected for a Antarctica tour.
That's on my bucket list.
I was on a Panama one, and at the last minute got pulled off of and sent to a deployment.
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to go to Panama, but no, you're going to send me to Kuwait again.
There is something magical about Antarctica that I've always wanted to go there. And also
penguins.
I'm firmly of the belief that,
Happy Feet lives there.
Unfortunately, when the ice melts, it's going to redefine our the clock for humanity.
And
of our history.
I mean, it could completely restructure the way the Earth rotates.
Well, not just that, but what's under the ice.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be the
aliens are going to get discovered.
Well, not necessarily aliens, but humans. It was a continent that's been protected, and covered for quite a while.
There's some really interesting things about Antarctica. As the ice is retreating and they're going down and drilling and making the ice cores, they're finding all kinds of stuff they didn't expect, like fossils for deciduous tropical plants.
Yep.
Wow.
It doesn't even exist today anymore. There are no deciduous tropical plants on Earth, and the last ice age killed them off.
Can we recreate those? I would love to recreate. We can leave the dinosaurs out, but I'd love to have those plants.
Oh yeah, tropical deciduous.
Drew and I are both big plant geeks. So
yes, my house is quite a
mine's getting there.
Forest.
I'm working on it. My old house, the outside was what Drew's inside house is.
But no, there's some amazing. I really want to go there. Also on my bucket list is to see the lights down on the southern pole.
I've never seen the Aurora Borealis. That's on my bucket list.
I haven't personally ever seen either of the auroras on either side, and I want to. I've been at the place. I'm sitting above the Arctic Circle, being like, "Come on, freezing."
I've been near the equator most of my life in one way or another. It's if you count where we're at near the equator, we're kind of on the border here, not really in the equator here, but we're living in Texas and Indonesia and Thailand growing up. I was pretty far from it.
Yeah, I've most pretty much California to Utah is the latitudes that I've been in. So
I've been all across the country, spent a lot of time living in California and then in Florida, which is so different.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even understand that these is the same country. It's that culturally different.
That's what's so beautiful about America is the diversity. That's growing up in Houston, and Houston was the most diverse city several times in a row. It goes back and forth, but in America. And so I had friends all over, and you get to see that, and then living other places and seeing the way they live versus others. A lot of people in Utah, there's a lot of people in Utah that don't get to see that.
No, there's not a lot of diverse culture here in Utah. I mean, being in the military, you're absorbed in it. You're part of that diversity and everything.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I love about Utah is we have a terrain, our
fry sauce,
our culture, our topography here in Utah. You have, you can head an hour in any different direction, and you can be in the desert as opposed to the mountains. The only thing we don't have is an ocean. But Zach, you had mentioned that a lot of people in Utah, you've noticed, kind of don't have passports and don't have those kind of things.
Yeah,
and that was one of your stances. Is people in Utah are kind of still sheltered. They're not very educated in a lot of that kind of travel and things like that. And
I wouldn't say educated.
Well,
exposed.
travel exposed, experienced. I mean, my first experience being exposed was when I was 16 years old. I went to India for the first time, out of country and everything. And it very, very opened my eyes. I mean, I've met a lot of people still now in my age that have never been on airplanes. And that was something that you had mentioned. I'd read in one of your biographies or something.
Yeah.
Now what's something, I mean, you had kind of mentioned, I mean, we had said that you wanted to build a spaceport. You're
jumping the gun. So you're running for governor.
Yes, I'm running for governor.
You're running for governor. And what he's talking about was actually, so I've been talking about building a spaceport for a couple of years now.
I think we should keep people in limbo on the spaceport thing. Let's hold them for a segment or two. It's up to you guys.
There's a lot to cover, but yeah. So
because I know I'm on my edge of my seat here, and I want to get people even more on the edge of their seat here.
Oh yeah, the spaceport topic is the one that's like piquing everybody's interest the most, and that was originally one of my plans. One of the things that I wanted to do, but it hadn't even been the top thing. But it's just everyone starts reading my positions and they're like, spaceport. How do you feel about the spaceport? Why a spaceport?
And it's if you are looking at the future and what the future is going to be, you realize exactly why we need a spaceport.
Oh yeah, it's space industry is currently 350 billion, and it's supposed to grow to 2.7 trillion by 2040. That's just 20 years away.
Exactly. And imagine if we could, get SpaceX to build part of their fleet out here. We have
just
Blue Horizon.
It'll happen.
Blue Origin.
Blue Origin.
Yeah.
ATK is already local. So I mean,
Utah
we have all
needs to use its capitalist background that it's so supposedly so good at, and attract all these space companies in. And
imagine. So
we're jumping the gun again.
Richard Branson's in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Now, so imagine if we have our spaceport and they have their spaceport, and you could take a space plane and go up and tour around, and then the space plane could actually come down and land at our spaceport.
Yeah.
And then pick up new passengers here.
And then jump on a high-speed rail between the two, and
or a hyperloop.
A hyperloop, yep. So that brings me to so I mean, I'm gonna totally geek out this whole show, and there's gonna be a ton of ADHD fueled conversations here. But
did you take your medicine today?
I did take my medicine today.
The volume going up.
But I've actually had some conversations. I have a lot of friends out in Silicon Valley, some very prominent influencers in that area and such. And they're all complaining now. Their real estate is crashing now. It's starting to, they had this huge real estate boom. It's growing, and it's starting to crash. It's starting to lose value. But here in Utah, it's growing. And I was talking with one of my friends out there, Shel Israel. He's a well-known author and written for Forbes and other things. And he was like, yeah, but you don't have the beach out there. It's like, well, for one, we got Great Salt Lake. If you want to count that as a beach, you can handle the smell, which we could actually turn that into a tourist attraction if we put some budget into it.
I got married out there.
It's beautiful
on Antelope Island. I got married out there, and then we took everyone down to
give
the
it
beach.
Enough credit.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Looks like something out of the Mediterranean. African side.
Yeah, Great Salt Air, just move it over a little bit to where it's
and he actually has an idea to revitalize the Great Salt Lake, which would restore the weather patterns here.
Well, I want to real quick. I want to add just my thought on this. My answer to my friend was if we just add high speed rail or a hyperloop between San Francisco and Utah, Utah now has a beach. They can get out there in an hour or two.
Dude, yeah,
and
it's supposed to be about 30 minutes between San Francisco and LA. So maybe be 45.
Yeah, it won't be that long. So that would people would move out here. Our real estate would completely explode with that. To me, it's worth Utah's budget.
Yeah, well, then I don't really love the idea of real estate exploding.
I don't like that idea either.
Yeah, unlike California, we don't
as
have
long as I can get in early, I don't care.
Protections on tax increases.
Yeah.
So I just had my house reassessed, and they said, "Oh, it's worth another $41,000 this year," and $41,000 raises quite a bit my rent to the government.
But what if we cut off income taxes and such?
There's so much more involved to do this.
A bigger stance, similar to Texas or such, where the real estate prices, taxes can go up, but much lower taxes on the other side of things.
I don't like any situation that causes someone to have to leave their home that they bought or maybe even built, and they have to leave their home because they were told it's worth too much and they now can't meet that bill, but it's their home.
That's true.
The other problem, which I think if we brought more population here, is we just can't sustain it. We don't have the fresh water capacity for ever. We're right now at our limits as to what can. They're talking about building this some new high density developments out in South Salt Lake County, but it's like we are limited to the amount of water that we get, and every year, it seems like we're getting less and less and less. So, I think that's probably the biggest concern is can our infrastructure actually sustain, a left coast population? I guess we could, I don't know.
It can't. That's why we have to put more water out and restore our weather patterns.
Yeah. So I was reading through your website.
Fun on that one.
I'm going to, Zach,
I want to hear your
Moses.com.
ZachMoses.com.
So ZachMoses.com, you've posted some of your positions,
and he's running for governor
of Utah.
But
one of your ideas that I really like, because it is forward thinking, is creating an aqueduct pump system to pump ocean water, sailing water, and refill the Great Salt Lake, which would restore our weather patterns.
Well, and not just the Great Salt Lake. We would bring that water in, and if you look from the satellite, the remnants of Lake Bonneville stretch all the way through Nevada, and there are saline lakes that have been shrinking for 100 years.
That's genius.
Yeah. So, and then, are you familiar with a pumped hydro battery?
I've heard of it.
So pumped hydro is the most efficient way to store renewable energy. So sun is shining, wind is blowing, you're producing more than you're using, and you use all the excess to pump water uphill to an upper storage reservoir. And then when the grid needs power, when there isn't sun or wind, you discharge water to a lower reservoir, keeping a stable grid. So
I think I've seen them doing that over in China.
Yeah, they're doing it in China. There's some Caribbean islands where they've done it. Australia has a ton of plans for pumped hydro. So in general, though, you would pump, like if you were on the coast, you might pump seawater straight up to a reservoir and then discharge it right back to the sea.
Yeah.
You could do this with fresh water as well. But what if we pumped it up to an upper reservoir, and instead of discharging toward the sea, we discharge inland? And we just keep going deeper and deeper through the Great Basin until we reach the salt flats and maintain water in the salt flats, not enough to destroy infrastructure, but it's so flat out there that it would only take a couple of feet to get to double or
catch
triple.
It after a rainstorm, it's an inch deep across the whole salt flats.
Yeah.
there.
So imagine if we put a few feet out there and started actually doing carbon sinks. And then the evaporative surface. The Great Salt Lake is half the size it was when pioneers arrived for its surface area, and it generates up to 40% of our snowfall every winter. And so if we filled
Through
that
lake
to
effect.
through lake effect snow. So if we fill that up and then we maintain water in the flats, which is an even bigger amount of space.
Yeah.
And we did this in the 80s when the lake was flooding. Governor Bangerter, there was big controversy because then it stopped flooding.
Yeah.
But they built the pumps, and the pumps are still there that pumped water from the Great Salt Lake to the flats.
Wow.
So now we could just maintain the level of the Great Salt Lake indefinitely, which would cover all those dry lake bed areas that's also contributing to our pollution.
That's a beautiful approach. I have a little bit of background in permaculture, and the idea of permaculture is to utilize natural means to be able to bring back ecosystems, and taking a lot of it is around taking the land back into local ecosystems. So empowering people to have ponds and streams that reach their own yards, so that you don't have to have as big of reservoirs in centralized locations to destroying ecosystems and living matter and such. I wonder if that could be combined with a permaculture approach in some way, where we're both, I mean, I like the idea of bringing it inland and allowing that to gradually make its way back to the salt flats. I wonder if there's a way that we can also be empowering people to take a percentage of that water into their own lands and their own design and build out their own ecosystems, one property at a time within the valley, educating people in the process.
Also, saltwater ecosystems are incredibly diverse. I was just recently in Croatia, and we landed on this little island, and it has this beautiful saltwater lagoon all around this ruined monastery. And when you start reading the history, the water used to be fresh water. It was sweet water. But the mosquitoes were so bad, and the diseases being caused by it were so bad, that they deliberately broke the barrier between the sea and the Sweetwater Lake and turned it saltwater, and then the people rely on the freshwater springs.
We're headed to break. We'll keep talking about this. You're listening to Comic.Church on K Talk, AM 1640, real local two-way talk, and we'll be back after this.
This is Pastor Drew, the Fairy God Bro. The Comic.Church pastors and I, we're looking to take Comic.Church to the next level. But we need sponsors who support our vision and our mission to achieve that trajectory. If you or your company would be interested in being our sponsor for our Sanctum of Spirituality, please reach out to us, either through our Facebook page, Comic.Church, or through our website, comicchurch.org. Come on now, who wants to be our Bruce Wayne sugar daddy?
When the weather's nice outside and you're not in your car or near your radio, don't worry. You can take K-Talk Radio with you on the go by using TuneIn Radio. Just search K-Talk or visit ktalkmedia.com to find out more ways that you can listen on the go. K-Talk, real, local, two-way talk, wherever you go.
Choosing your next Utah home should be a fun and exciting experience. As Utah's heritage home builder, Perry Homes is constantly striving to give our home buyers more for their money. More new homes in Utah, more desirable Utah home locations, more timeless designs, more inherent home value, and lasting pride of ownership. At Perry Homes, we make it our top priority to ensure the home buying process is as joyful and stress-free as possible. Our 40-plus year heritage has been forged on the principle of building Utah homes of high value in the communities where Utah families want to live, and giving our home buyers the quality of home we're proud to call a Perry home. Visit us at perryhomesutah.com to see current Utah home locations and available home styles and floor plans. Perry Homes. We build homes where Utah families want to live.
My name is Allison Johnson, and I'm an attorney with Peace Legal Law Firm. One of the reasons I became an attorney was to help couples with adoptions, and I am passionate about the legal work I do. Some adoptions are relatively straightforward, while others can be very complex. If you are considering an adoption, in the process of adopting, or have adoption-related questions, please don't hesitate to call me. Consultations are free. Please call 801-876-5297 and ask for me, Allison Johnson. That's 801-876-5297. Our website is peacelegal.net.
Welcome back, comic fans. We now return to Comic.Church, leaving you right where we left off before the break. And now here's your host, the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray, Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbrother, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay. And now, Comic.Church.
Welcome back.
We are still in the studio with Zachary Moses.
Who is running for Utah governor?
Utah governor.
Yes.
So before we went to the break, we were talking about refilling up the Great Salt Lake. And one thing that I wanted to say, but we got cut off by the commercial break, was just recognizing how that would change the weather pattern for not only Utah, but Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, increasing snowfall to all these, like it would radically restore the natural order of things.
Let's also add to that the travel industry that would build in Utah. Utah would not only be a mountain state, but it could become an actual beach state with that.
And think of all the places that no one would currently want to live in the West Desert that would suddenly be beachfront property.
Yeah.
Mountainside beachfront property.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the scary thing about it. If we don't do anything, because right now, year by year, the levels are dropping in the Great Salt Lake. When that thing dries up, this entire city will almost probably be uninhabitable. We'll be having dust storms filled with heavy metals, blowing all that crap that's currently the mud every time the wind blows. We wouldn't have the water. We wouldn't have water. We'd run out of water probably around June of every year. And we also provide water to Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, and California.
Isn't that what the U.S. government wants with Dugway? Is for it to be a desert so that they can have a bigger military presence out here and do mysterious, crazy things.
There's plenty of stuff out there, and you know we're talking about the spaceport.
Yeah.
One of the things that makes the spaceport so feasible for Salt Lake is the Utah Test and Training Range, which is managed by the Utah National Guard and the Air Force.
Spaceport now?
Yeah. So let's go spaceport.
Yes.
So the spaceport. First of all, when you build a spaceport,
where does this come from? So this is one of the platforms.
Yes,
of Zach here.
This is one of Zach's platforms that caught my attention because again, I've been talking about.
Should we have Zach just tell his point and then get into it, or how do you want? You're leading here.
Well, so I'll just lead.
Go ahead.
Just because the Test and Training Range,
That's not possible.
Being with the National Guard, I'm very familiar with that place. I spent a lot of time out there. So I'm very familiar with its capabilities. But if we're going to have a spaceport, one, it needs to be removed enough from a population that if there was accidents, it wouldn't be raining down parts on a city. But then also with the spaceport, we're going to be having reentry booms, sonic booms. So you'd want it far enough away from a population so we're not busting windows every time an arrival comes in.
Yeah.
So the West Desert, the Test and Training Ranges, it's already regulated, air controlled, locked down, secure. They're already doing sonic boom crap over there all the time, blowing stuff up. Yeah, so it's already prepared. All we need to do is
there's never an explanation.
Pour a pad, really, and build a hangar.
Hey, Elon Musk, come pour some cement.
We just need to do what we're good at: attract business to Utah,
exactly,
and attract the right type of business.
And that's why we need a new governor. Really, the leadership that we've had in the state,
Jones.
Yeah, the leadership we've had is just hell bent on doing everything the same way that they've always done it, and they call that conservative. But I don't consider wholesale destruction of the environment conservative. That's actually a very radical thing to do. Endless paving of everything with no consideration of vegetation and what makes the air we breathe.
Yeah.
How is that conservative? That's radically not conservative.
So I'm showing on my phone here a memory from 3 years ago of the meteorite that Utah saw breaking up in the sky over Utah. That was really easy to see. It just showed up on my Facebook feed.
It's hard to see because you have that security.
It's hard to see. I've got the security thing on there.
So imagine how cool that'll look when you see rockets going up.
Oh yeah.
It is really cool. And so we're talking about the wholesale destruction of land. Mining is a huge thing because the mining companies that hire very few people have a lot of money and they pay off the legislators so they can continue to hoard all the money at our expense. But recognizing that the future in mining is not going to be here on the planet. The future in mining is going to be getting, ships up there, getting platforms built up in space, and actually mining the asteroid belt. Why do we need to deplete our planet and destroy our planet when we have all that crap just floating around us?
Well, and not just the asteroid belt. If you go to Luna, our moon, the regolith, which is the dirt where you see Neil Armstrong's footprint, that regolith is loaded with helium-3 that gets destroyed in Earth's atmosphere. So it's very rare on Earth. And if you want to do fusion energy and make that sustainable, we need helium-3.
Exactly. And that's why China is they're going to beat us.
Oh yeah, we're in a space race and we're losing it.
We are. And this is a sad part. So last night I also watched that Apollo 11 documentary where they took all that original footage, and just realizing like how we as a society are backsliding. We don't have the ability and the understanding, the knowledge. Like, we're having to relearn how to redo something that our grandparents' generation already did.
And they did it so cowboy style. It was so cool. Build a skyscraper, fill it with gas, tape a VW bug to the top of it, and shoot it at the moon.
Exactly.
So Texas, and so cowboy,
and it worked.
I grew up in Texas. That's I love it.
But yeah, so much of the future is that. And do we want to be, pioneering the future? We just celebrated Pioneer Day here in Utah. Do we want to be pioneers of the future, or do we want to hold on to the past? Dig that coal.
It's inevitable with half of California moving out here. We're going to end up with that talent in Utah, and it's going to end up in Utah's politics eventually. And if Utah's current politicians don't step up that game, they're going to be out of office.
Yeah. Well, so the cynical part of me says, I don't think so, because they've got it so locked up. We have these rural legislators who, Utah is controlled. Mm-hmm. Its main population here in Salt Lake City, but it's controlled by the rural extremists.
It's changing, though. It's slowly, gradually adapting.
In the last election, there were 200,000 new voters who registered who only voted on Proposition 2 for the marijuana legislation.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's a lot.
200,000. So we only have 1.3 million registered voters, man. And it was 1.1 before they put Prop 2 on the ballot, and all of a sudden 200,000 people came out of the woodwork, only to have our legislators stand up and tell them that their vote doesn't count, and they're just going to rewrite that law.
You finally get people to kid out and vote, and then the legislation says, sorry, that doesn't count. So that's kind of what I was mentioning before is, people that are kind of their eyes aren't open to the world, to other cultures and everything. And now that we're talking about the spaceport, I kind of wanted to bring some geekdom back into this. What are some other famous spaceports? Because I want to get why you want to build a spaceport out there. Like, what is it going to do to the state? What is a spaceport going to do for us and our economy here? But what are some other famous spaceports that you can think of off of movies, or even actual? There's an actual real spaceport still orbiting the Earth right now. Does anybody know of any other spaceports? Come on, Drew.
You mean like the space station?
There's the International Space Station that is actually orbiting the Earth right now.
Yeah,
but what is a movie spaceport? I'm looking right at Jesse because
You're looking for the Star Wars spaceport.
What is it?
You've got
the Tatooine.
You've got
that's no
you've
moon.
Got the Death Star.
There you go. That's the kind of space.
Which Death Star? Though? You
station.
got 2 Death Stars,
Yeah,
and then you've got what's the name of the one in The Force Awakens? That one doesn't count.
No, I mean there's some other ones. I was even looking at because I was looking at different space stations. There's like a lot of games like Halo 9. There's the Anchor 9 in Space Odyssey. There's some spaceports and stuff. Or space stations.
Star Trek has
a lot of space stations.
Even series around one.
Deep Space Nine, which was one of the best.
The name is slipping my head. It came out recently. Had made the Big Brother system Big Boy that controlled the weather And so it was to prevent climate change, and they had built a huge network of satellites around the planet.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I gotta
see
look
that
this
now.
up. Yeah,
No,
I'm pulling
it's
up.
the weather one. It's where they can control the
they're
they
controlling
control
the
the
weather.
weather. It's a movie, and then
You mean HARP?
no, and then they make
Because
like
it's real.
They make like a super hurricane or something.
Yeah.
But there's some other space stations and things like that. I mean, in the comics, you got Asteroid M, which is created and run by the mutants. But so the object of a space station, what is it going to do for the community here in Utah? I mean, besides bring a lot of people looking here and saying a space station, what for?
So it's spaceport. Space station would be up in
spaceport.
Orbiting the Earth, or the lunar gateway that they're going to build to orbit the moon. So spaceport is how we get to those. We get so the space tourism industry is already taking off. There are thousands of people who prepaid for Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic ships. That was the first private ship to ever actually orbit the Earth. We've got the new crew capsule with SpaceX. Jeff Bezos is very quiet about Blue Origins, comes out every once in a while. But
do you know what I love though about it? Like, he basically built a flying penis.
Right?
Like, when you see Blue Origin, like every time I just see a dick flying through the sky, and I'm trying to think if I was that rich,
like Austin Powers,
and just wanted to have fun with people, I would build a space program and design our rockets to look like giant dicks flying across the sky.
Can that be a soundbite for our promos?
But it's great. Like, I remember the first time I saw that, I'm like,
beat out all of those parts. I think they'll approve it.
How does it get any better than that? Like, anyway,
so you want to make it like another Kennedy space station here?
Yeah, so we would have a spaceport here. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen it, but SpaceX put out a promotional video. They're building Starship right now.
Yeah,
which is the supposed to be
the
interplanetary transport. So they did some math of what it would take if you actually just flew it city to city on Earth. And there's a great promo video that you can find on YouTube. It's also on my website. If you go down to where I'm talking about the spaceport, I have the promo video talking about city to city space transport.
Okay.
So this would be you're in Shanghai and you take the boat out to where the launch pad is, shoot up, and in 30 minutes you're landing in Salt Lake City. When they calculate the costs for this, in the beginning, based on the estimates, we're talking like $12,000 a person for the fare, which I sell travel, and I know that sounds like a lot to most people, but $12,000 isn't an uncommon first class ticket. And if you recall how jetliners took off, no one would think we would have this massive network of airports 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you think of how they took off, it started with all first class passengers. That's how they funded the whole program. That's unsustainable.
Mm-hmm.
So what you'll ultimately end up with is most likely starships that have wealthy cabins up top, kind of mid-price cabins in the middle where they'll give you some alcohol and you got a little bit of recline on your seat. And then in the back, you're just in the, the cattle
You're
call.
sitting next to the luggage.
But you're flying through space.
You are,
Exactly.
but I doubt there would be alcohol, because that would at altitude would cause problems in the blood and all that kind of stuff. So I would
bad reference. We absolutely don't want alcohol in
no
there.
drinking in space. don't drink in space at the same time. So, but no, we're coming up to the top of the hour break. But when we come back after the top of the hour news, let's keep talking about this and some of the other things, and also how we can become modern day superheroes. You were telling us that you kind of think of yourself as a Iron Man. You relate to him. So we're going to be talking about that coming back at the top of the hour. You're listening to Comic.Church on K-Talk, AM 1640, real local 2A talk, and we'll be right back. When the weather's nice outside and you're not in your car or near your radio, don't worry. You can take K-Talk Radio with you on the go by using TuneIn Radio. Just search K-Talk or visit ktalkmedia.com to find out more ways that you can listen on the go. K-Talk, real, local, two-way talk, wherever you go.
America is built and based on liberties and freedoms. Liberty HealthShare brings that to healthcare. The liberty of choosing your own doctor, the liberty of choosing your own hospital. Liberty HealthShare makes healthcare affordable to millions of Americans. Ignite your liberty. Sharing plans starting at $199 for a single, $399 for a couple, and no matter how big the family, only $529. That's $529 for the entire family. To learn how you can save, go to lightyourliberty.com. That's lightyourliberty.com.
Hey there, comic book fans and believers in all things geekdom. This is Pastor Drew, the Fairy God Bro, and I just want to let you know that all of us here at Comic.Church are working hard to build a place that we can all come to, a place of refuge, a place to be edified by the universes that inspire us the most. And this show, it's just the launching off point. We invite you to subscribe to our podcast, Comic.Church, using your favorite podcasting service. We're on them all: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, and more. You can also join us live each Sunday at 11:05 a.m. on K-Talk, AM 1640, and live stream with us on Facebook, where you can interact with us in the comments section and be part of the show. We have so much in store for 2019 and going into 2020, and we invite you to come along and be a part of it. We at Comic.Church know how important fans are, and we thank you for taking this chance and being our fans.
Hi, I'm Gary Sinise. Our veterans put everything on the line to protect our freedom. We may never be able to repay them for their sacrifice, but we can show them just how much we appreciate all they've done. You can help by simply sharing your time, lending a warm smile, a supportive hand, or a sympathetic ear.
Pass a budget bill this week. It'll keep money flowing to the Pentagon and avoid a government shutdown.
Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the U.S. military needs stable funding.
The greatest military on earth should not drift in uncertainty.
He says the budget passed by the House on Thursday means no interruption in the funding needed for those in uniform.
Service members deserve to deploy armed with state-of-the-art training and cutting-edge equipment.
Especially at a time of growing international threats.
And the nation as a whole deserves a global presence that is up to snuff.
And McConnell says that means keeping the U.S. military on the cutting edge. Bob Agnew reporting.
World powers are meeting with Iran to try and salvage the 2015 nuclear accord.
Representatives from Europe, China and Russia, nations that are still committed to the nuclear deal, are meeting Iran's representative in Vienna to discuss how to salvage the 2015 pact. The diplomats aim to examine issues linked to the deal's implementation after Iran surpassed stockpile and enrichment limits set out in the deal. Experts warn that higher enrichment and a growing stockpile narrow the one-year window Iran would need to have enough material to make an atomic bomb. Something Iran denies it wants, but the deal prevented. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Police fired tear gas at protesters in Hong Kong today for the second day in a row, in another escalation of weeks-long pro-democracy protests in the semi-autonomous Chinese territory. Protesters occupied at two ends opposite of central Hong Kong following a mid-afternoon rally against police use of violence. Authorities in New York City are searching for two shooters they believe opened fire at a community festival in Brooklyn last night. One man is dead, another in critical condition, and 10 people are wounded. No arrests have been made thus far. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Guys, waking up over and over to urinate is not okay. But now you can reduce those nighttime bathroom trips with the ingredients in Super Beta Prostate P3 Advanced. We're talking about less urges to urinate at night, less bathroom trips during the day, and better bladder emptying.
It's like taking 3 prostate supplements in one.
You can try a full 30-day bottle of P3 Advanced, free. Just pay shipping and handling. No strings attached, no obligations, and no commitments to buy. This is a 30-day supply, absolutely free. Call 1-800-458-7294. Super Beta Prostate is the best-selling brand in major retailers like Walmart. But for this no-strings-attached free bottle, you must call now. Call 1-800-458-7294. Don't miss out on this unprecedented free offer. 1-800-458-7294. 1-800-458-7294.
Austin, Texas is going digital to let fans tip their favorite musicians.
No cash, no problem. The Lone Star State's Capitol is launching a pilot program that will let fans digitally tip their favorite musicians. 10 selected artists will be provided with a dip jar, a device that enables fans to tip musicians using a credit or a debit card. The group will test the technology for 6 months, collecting tips at local live shows or on tour. City officials say they hope the program will financially help local musicians and the city, which draws visitors due in part to its internationally known music scene. Rhonda Rockster reporting.
Former Red Sox slugger David Ortiz is out of the hospital following 3 surgeries after being shot
Nationally
in the back
known
at a
music
bar
scene.
in the Dominican
Rhonda
Republic.
Rockster reporting.
Former Red Sox slugger David Ortiz is out of the hospital following 3 surgeries after being shot in the back at a bar in the Dominican Republic. Red Sox say Ortiz...
Sidekick. Durability meets speed. It's the first gas-powered utility vehicle of its kind, built with acceleration and handling that blur the line between working hard and having fun. Right now, get the Sidekick for $0 down and a $1,000 instant rebate. Now through August 31st, 2019, see us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
Find a Kubota dealer near you at GoKubota.com.
Stand by for exciting news from Affordable Mattress. Affordable Mattress has purchased truckloads of closeout beds from a national mattress firm. They have powered adjustable base beds for only $199. Queen-size pillow top beds, only $149. No interest financing and free delivery. 90th South, 1300 West in West Jordan, or call Darren 801-917-4555. That's Affordable Mattress, 90th South and 1300 West in West Jordan.
You're listening to the all-new K-Talk Media, KBJA 1640 AM, Sandy, Salt Lake, and the entire Wasatch Front, bringing you live, local two-way talk.
Stay away from religious topics, not here on K-Talk. Listen each Sunday evening at 7 p.m. to The Interpreter Show for fascinating religious discussions, hot debates, and the latest in religious scholarship, archaeology, and ancient documents. Whether you're Catholic, Mormon, Protestant, agnostic, and atheist, or something else, you'll want to listen to The Interpreter Show Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. here on K-Talk. You gotta hear it.
You're listening to Comic.Church.
And all of a sudden, they're happy for, can we say?
Oh, no, not that one.
Okay. That's awesome. Sometimes you just have to try things.
His foster brother is sitting there saying, you know, I would give anything to be where you're at and have the powers and abilities that you have so that I could help or do good with them.
I'm like Superman. I'm energized by that sun. What is our son's name? Anyway, Soul. Yeah. That soul son of ours. Can't get enough of it.
I think most people would pick invisibility because I think we all think we're messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, who hasn't gone through that at some point?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where you wanted to just be invisible and be able to be invisible. I think.
Oh, yeah.
It speaks to teens that.
Well, and I think
that.
And recognizing that we're all messed up.
Yeah.
The beautiful part, total reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark. And he's sitting there after he put his weapons down. He's like, come on, bring it on, fight me. And she just photon blasts him. And it is just like, yes. And she walks up to him and she just says, you know, I don't have to prove anything to you.
Welcome back to Comic.Church. Sunday mornings at 11 on K-Talk.
Shazam!
Yes.
That'd be a good commercial.
That would be a good commercial.
Military life is rewarding, but it isn't always easy.
Managing distress can affect even the strongest warrior.
But I will stay mission ready.
I will keep my mind and body fit.
Talk to my chaplain.
Seek care early.
Strive for progress, not perfection.
I got this.
I got this. Take the first step.
There's no better time than now. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Visit realwarriors.net or call 800-874-2273.
When the weather's nice outside and you're not in your car or near your radio, don't worry. You can take K-Talk Radio with you on the go by using TuneIn Radio. Just search K-Talk or visit ktalkmedia.com to find out more ways that you can listen on the go. K-Talk, real, local, two-way talk, wherever you go.
now return to Hour 2 of Comic Church on K-Talk, AM 1640. Real local two-way comic psycho spiritual talk. With your hosts, Drew the Fairy Godbro, the Reverend Sith Lord Jesse Stay, and the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray. And now we return to the sanctum of spirituality, Comic Church.
Welcome back. Hello to Hour 2.
Groot.
Good morning.
It's afternoon now.
It's afternoon.
It's morning for me.
No, 12:09.
We've been at this for an hour. That flies.
Yeah, it
this
goes
is
by so
awesome.
quick.
Our church goes by really quick.
Yeah.
It's a nice 2-hour block.
It's enjoyable to sit in and to listen.
So you are listening to Comic Church on K-Talk AM 1640, and we have with us the Utah governor candidate, Zachary Moses. Welcome back.
Welcome.
He is a modern day Tony Stark to an extent. We kind of talked about that on the break. He doesn't like that term, but
No, well, we had asked him earlier, like, what's a hero? What do you comic book? Bringing us back to comics and Comic Church and everything like that. What's something that you relate to a superhero? And what was that?
So I dug around looking for trying to find the best Marvel hero that would fit me, and the closest I found was Iron Man, because just surrounded in gadgets, will solve a problem whether or not anyone is on board. He'll just tear out and solve it himself if he has to.
Yeah.
If you spend time with me, you'll see that anything I can do to make the life for me or those around me more futuristic, I'll go out of my way to do it, just so that, just so I can raise my kid in the space age that was supposed to happen in the 80s, but it's just sort of stopped.
Well, it actually didn't stop. It just went underground, secret.
Oh,
yeah, that's where one of our
conspiracy
theories is. Drew says that it's all secretive, but I like the new Space Force that Donald Trump has created it into now.
Everybody mocks him for it, and
I think that's
on him is every way you want, but Space Force sounds cool.
It sounds cool.
But here's the thing: the Air Force already does it. So we're creating a redundant thing so it can sound cool. Like the Air Force Space Command has been around and actually is the Space Force.
Even if you look at NASA and the space program and even landing on the moon and such, those were all political publicity campaigns more than anything. They were to give the U.S. a position against its enemies and its competitors out there, and it brought a lot of commerce and new technology and new innovations just as a result of that publicity campaign. So I'm not necessarily against that.
I actually like the idea of a Space Force being separate from the Air Force, because the Air Force, to me, that's within our atmosphere, the air that you can fly a plane through.
But to get through that to that, you need to get through the atmosphere and the air. And where does the atmosphere stop? I mean, there's atmosphere technically around the space station, which is well into low Earth orbit. So I mean, it's hard to distinguish. So it's we're going to have two different agencies trying to control and manage
the Marines. Well, I mean, the Marines can't get anywhere without the Navy.
No, but they serve different purposes. Whereas you have two military branches of the military doing the same task.
Well, I feel like the spaceport or space
they would
force,
be the upper atmosphere, as the Air Force would be the lower atmosphere.
The Air Force is like a fighting force in our terrestrial atmosphere.
Yeah.
Whereas the Space Force is going to be more like the not the Navy, the Coast Guard.
Well, but
they've got to make sure that trading goods are moving from Luna to Earth, from asteroids to Earth. They're the ones who have to make sure to maintain our trading.
So you're saying we need an FAA type management.
Well, not just that,
because with the U.S. space, they're already up there. The Air Force Space Command, they're already up in space. Like, they don't talk about it, but when Reagan was talking about the Star Wars program, it's not like they, oh, well, I guess it's not going to happen, we give up. No,
well,
they put billions of dollars into that. They're up there.
That Marvel is going to with the end credit scene where Nick Fury is in space, and I think it's managing and running Sword. The Sentient World Observation and Response Department. That's basically what, a Space Force. So it's somebody outside
the shield
of our
of space.
It's the shield of space.
Okay.
That's what the Space Force as of the Air Force would be, governing our skies and our air here, as of the Space Force or sword or shield of space would be outside our atmosphere, governing and guarding anywhere outside of our atmosphere.
Maybe we should rename the
Mars.
Air Force the Space Force then, because if it's now extending all the way into space in any amount of atmosphere, then wouldn't it just be a Space Force?
Here's also one reason why I also have a problem with the word Space Force is the Air Force, we're by force controlling all the airspace within our region. So are we also going to force our will now into space outside of our planet?
Let's just call it Starfleet.
Why don't exactly?
Yeah.
I completely advocate for that.
Let's just rename it all.
That's Star Trek. It's such a utopian, perfect future, and why not build it?
That's the future that I want. Because with Space Force, are we going to be pushing our manifest destiny now out into space? Are we? Is the Americans now going to claim the whole entire moon? I mean,
we're
the
going to
rest
start
away
forming
from the
packs
aliens.
of,
we already claimed the
countries
moon.
all working together.
Well, so this is
Our foot's
something
on it first.
too that I've been thinking a lot about. So here we are, we're Utah, and we are a sovereign state within a federal government, right?
Well, I would say we're more of a religious theocracy, given the appearance of a sovereign state.
Everybody knows that. Look at our leadership. But still, we're
Given the appearance,
semi-sovereign.
yes,
And if you go over to Europe, they've got all these countries over there, and they fall under the European Union. But we look at it differently. We don't call those states; those are countries. And over here, there's states. And I've traveled back and forth to the states and to all of those countries, and I don't really see a difference, except that their version of a state government is stronger than our version of a state government.
Yeah.
And
a border is nothing more than a form of judgment. It's if taking it to a spiritual level. I mean, borders are judgments in our own personal lives. A border within our life is a judgment on ourselves or others. And I think that's what borders of countries do. It gives us a reason to judge that country as something inferior or different than we are. When in reality, we're all human. We're all part of this earth, and we have to fight for the protection of this earth or this earth is going to be destroyed.
Exactly.
And I do think as humanity goes out into space, we need to do it as united humanity.
It needs to be one human family going into space, not America
Nation
is
states.
going to space so that we can make another state on the moon.
Yeah, or we're going to beat the other nation states to the it's all that does is, again, we're putting that manifest destiny now out into space, and I think that's the last thing we need to do.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine we meet an alien race? We're all blown away. Oh, who would have known this alien race? Then they say, oh, we want to come and talk to the people of Earth. And we're like, well, you can talk to America.
Yeah.
But nobody else. It just
Or America will say, no, you
Earth.
can't talk to our people because,
I mean, to
we're
me,
not ready for it or whatever.
we've got regional governments everywhere, and the regions get bigger and bigger, and the United States is just a regional government of the Earth.
Yeah,
and there are all sorts of regional governments of the Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we've
got to get beyond that thinking, or the Earth is going to be destroyed. There's no either we're going to be destroyed from the environment, from aliens, whatever that's possible, or just from artificial intelligence and technology itself. I mean, it's inevitable that
we are going to
will take over at some point.
We are going to destroy ourselves. I don't see why we didn't learn from the snap. When Thanos came down, why didn't we learn from that we're all here, fighting for each other?
Because that's fiction.
No, it's not. It felt
so real to
happen. This is my blip beard.
Well, and isn't they call it the Fermi paradox, or is it?
Yeah, there's so many stars out there, and nobody's sending a message. Maybe we're alone. That one.
Well, there's that, but then tied in with Star Trek and the Prime Directive, as we have not proven ourselves worthy or advanced enough to be contacted. In the Star Trek realm, it's when you invent warp drive, or learn to communicate.
I think we'll probably just discover when we finally find an alien race. We'll be like, oh, we're like bacteria sized.
No, it's when the alien race decides to show themselves to us.
Well, and there's an actual red line, and some people have speculated that one of that is we have to prove that we're not going to destroy ourselves before we can actually get out there.
Yeah, that's true.
And if and that's kind of like nature's way of survival of the fittest, universal style. They have to come together and not destroy themselves. And if they destroy themselves, and they weren't worthy for interstellar travel and being a interplanetary species. I mean,
what if we're all the nanoparticles of another alien species, Earth? That
are you talking about Rick and Morty now? Like creating
I'm talking
another
about a million
universe?
different sci-fi theories.
Well, you think
Hitchhiker's
about
Guide.
it. You see like
Hitchhiker's Guide.
electrons orbiting on an atom, and then you're looking at the solar system, and you've got this little nuclear core.
Yeah.
And it's being orbited by these rocky bottoms or rocky bodies or gaseous bodies that have different chemical makeups. And I've thought plenty of times, if I was like a billion times bigger, would this just be an atom? Would our solar system just be an atom making up like my golf club?
Well, that reminds me of Men in Black at the very end when it shows the galaxy on the cats.
Yeah,
and they're just playing marbles with our galaxy.
Yeah,
like, wait, if we really did zoom out hundreds and thousands, would we really just be this little teeny thing?
We are here.
There's other things too, like our desire to find more life. So we're out, we're looking for it. Titan, the world is so alive with chemical compounds that they say, we could get a different kind of life there.
Yeah,
we've got methane blooms on Mars, but let's say we go out there and we search, and they're just dead.
Yeah.
And Earth is just this lone oasis as far as we know. Wouldn't it at that point become our responsibility to make the rest of the solar system bloom in any way we can? If it's dead.
Even if we are a fluke. And this is our opportunity to make it not a fluke and actually make something.
There are theories for panspermia that, life came from one source and it spread across the universe. What if we get out there and we look and we are the oasis and it's our job to put life in the universe?
Yeah, totally.
Plus, I mean, look what we're doing with CRISPR. We could go to any.
We
of
have
these
become
bodies
gods. As now we can reprogram and rewrite DNA. We have now.
Japanese are experimenting right now with human-animal hybrid.
They've got on the moon in Enceladus. They've flown our probes through the plumes that come out from its underground ocean.
Yeah.
All the chemical components, just like the bottom of our ocean where we have hydrothermal vents that have life. If we go there and there is no life, I feel like it is our duty to take our life and make it modified to live there.
Love that. We're going to break. We'll be right back after this on Comic.Church.
Stay away from religious topics, not here on K-Talk. Listen each Sunday evening at 7 p.m. to The Interpreter Show for fascinating religious discussions, hot debates, and the latest in religious scholarship, archaeology, and ancient documents. Whether you're Catholic, Mormon, Protestant, agnostic, and atheist, or something else, you want to listen to The Interpreter Show Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. here on K-Talk. You gotta hear it.
I am a veteran. I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet.
DAV helps veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe.
So veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory was finding the help I needed. Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
My name is Allison Johnson, and I'm an attorney with Peace Legal Law Firm. One of the reasons I became an attorney was to help couples with adoptions, and I am passionate about the legal work I do. Some adoptions are relatively straightforward, while others can be very complex. If you are considering an adoption, in the process of adopting, or have adoption-related questions, please don't hesitate to call me. Consultations are free. Please call 801-876-5297 and ask for me, Allison Johnson. That's 801-876-5297. Our website is peacelegal.net.
Welcome back, comic fans. We now return to Comic.Church, leaving you right where we left off before the break. And now here's your host, Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbrother, the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Sean was busy having his mind blown
We were,
during the commercial break.
So we were talking about Zachary had a great idea. You know, we're talking about space and everything and making a space port. And right now people want to make like a whole new civilization on Mars. And one of Zachary's big things is like, why don't we do that here? Why don't we experiment and make sure we get it right here in in Utah, and then do that there? But you were talking about some of the other things, that the ideas that you had.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, earlier we were talking about the pumped hydro system bringing seawater inland and getting it into the flats. As we build all of that out, we're going to change the ecosystem. And basically, so if you're familiar with Utah, Lake Bonneville burst its pass about 14,000 years ago. 80% of it drained almost immediately into Idaho. You can see the scars when you look at satellite imagery. You can see the scars where so much water dumped out. And then we've just been drying out. So if we can bring water in and turn that ecosystem back and bring it to life and be more like it was, say, 2,000 years ago, that's successful terraforming. And that's what we're wanting to do on other planetoids. So why not get it right here first?
That's genius.
Why hasn't Gary Herbert come up with something like that? Oh yeah, because he's not a genius.
Well, I mean, if he were to just allow, if he were to just incentivize these types of innovations into Utah, these things will just happen naturally from a capitalist standpoint. I just invite companies to come and do an X Prize for Utah.
For sure. And we need capitalism. We need go capitalism, because that's what pays for social programs.
Partner with Elon Musk to do an X Prize for Utah's ecosystem and revitalizing it, and then bringing Utah in as a major participant in the space program.
And can you imagine if not even just a participant in the space program, Obama signed a law saying that anything we get in space, if you bring it back from space, it's yours to keep. So this is what open space.
So if I bring an alien back,
anything,
it's yours.
Whatever you find, it's yours.
Okay, alien cheeks.
I'm storming.
So that being said, if we are sending a rocket up and we're doing it as the state of Utah, and we say, no, why can't we have our own space program? Elon Musk can have his own space program. The United States can have theirs. India can have theirs.
Have a state-run.
Why can't we have a state-run space program? What's different between us and France? Similar size. We've got a booming economy, way more booming than theirs. Why? Where's our space program?
Why not?
Well, and
we're
again,
for state rights here, right?
We are, but again, just with Obama signed that legislation. What you bring back is yours. Just recognizing how many rare earth minerals. There won't be rare earth minerals, and there'll be rare solar system minerals now. But how many of those are just floating around? Again, within our orbit between us and Mars, we have gigantic chunks of solid silver, gold. Copper,
they found an asteroid with estimated $14 trillion worth of gold in it.
What?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great to plant Utah's flag on that and make a mining system that when it comes back, it covers education, it covers healthcare, it makes sure that, and all without destroying our mountains.
What if we got
anymore.
the states all competing in space?
Well,
that would be huge.
And we should, because we want to have a network of spaceports so that we can travel city to city in under an hour anywhere on Earth.
But then also, I mean, earlier you mentioned that your dad passed away from uranium toxicity. So imagine, those are the elements out there. Imagine if we mined and processed it out in the solar system, So we don't have like what happened down in Green River and parts of southern Utah, where we have entire generations that are dealing with cancers and tumors and all these kind of things from being poisoned by the uranium
toxic
waste tailings. And they're now they're talking about redoing it, doing new uranium mines where Beers used to be.
That uranium exposure doesn't just mess with your DNA; it messes with your RNA.
Yeah.
And you pass that to your children.
So
there are defects that I have that I don't know what they are. I'll find out later when something gets me. But there are defects that I probably have that I inherited because my dad worked in a uranium enrichment mill. And they didn't even give people proper protections back then. And they tracked them. They wanted to see what happened to people who were exposed.
It was an experiment.
My mom got reparations for it. Wow. It was absolutely the state's bad.
And you still go down to Blanding and places like that where there's still places you can't go because there's uranium trailings from the mines. Like there's Superfund sites, and they're right next to the Green River. Like there's literally trailings 100 meters from the Green River.
And can you imagine if the first tokamaks, which are fusion reactors, are coming online now, the first test reactors, like actually pumping energy into the grid. And we need fuel for that. And we don't need to do dirty uranium.
Yeah.
If we go up to Luna, it's all in the regolith, all the helium-3, and we can fuel tokamaks and have all clean energy on Earth. Massive amounts of clean energy.
I read something, and I'm agreeing, because my dad worked in the oil fields and stuff like that, is Utah has so much natural resources that are coming out of Utah. Why don't we start utilizing some of that? Because we can have enough fuels and stuff that we don't need to go and contract and find other fuels for fossil fuels and things like that. We can budget our own here and run our own, help to run the state.
Yeah, instead of shipping everything out of Utah to bring a little bit of money in that doesn't really distribute well or really raise the standard of living of anyone in Utah. But if we took some of that wealth and just invested it in Utah instead of sending it out of Utah, maybe we could actually, I don't know, have a education system that everyone can go.
Transform our economy.
And plus, here's another idea: is they're talking about moving the prison. Why don't we move the prison to space and have a prison-run space station? Because basically, the prisons here are slave labor anyway.
Yeah,
and that's an idea that you had talked about, is not that idea about space, but like somehow reforming the prison systems now. And it's such a having myself known a lot of people that have been to prison and things in jail. It's so horrible, and it's
so you want to put them up in space, where after
I would love to
8 to 9 months, their eyeballs start growing, they're start losing muscle mass, bone mass.
Start working. I would rather mine in space.
This is something else I've been thinking about space. So we have a huge problem with aging population. And as they age, they end up in wheelchairs. They end up having their mobility restricted.
The sun. Gravity.
Well, just imagine
gravity.
Imagine, like, I would love to retire to a retirement colony on the moon where we have 1/5 Earth gravity, and I can get out of my wheelchair and walk.
Your arthritis, your bones, your back, it doesn't crackle and pop when you stand up from your knees.
That would be pretty nice. Their entire treatment regimen, sending people to the moon to get rid of the pain while their body's healed. That could potentially cure cancer. With that, I just because cancer often it's not the cancer that kills you, it's the pain and other.
It's the chemo.
It's the chemo and other things.
Well, we could just go ahead and legalize the marijuana like everyone asked. That would help too.
Well, the thing is, like,
that would also do it. Well, marijuana on the moon, it's legal right now on the moon. So.
Well, the Chinese have
also
now
legal
grown
on
the
the
first
space
plant
station.
on the moon.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that?
Oh, really? With the soil on the moon, or
no? They sent a rover and to the far side of the moon, and one of the experiments on the rover was a small glass biosphere, and they had
I missed that.
A couple different seeds in there, and they managed to get it to sprout. They had cameras on it.
Wow!
But then, of course, the moon.
How did I miss that?
The rotation of the moon's not like Earth, so the plants all froze to death.
Yeah.
Once it became dark, but
wow.
So we know that we can grow
what type
plants.
Of plant was it though?
I think it was a potato.
If it was the dark side of the moon, it was cannabis.
They've been watching them. They were watching or reading
more
last
night.
No, that's a great idea. So what are some other thoughts that you have for the future of Utah? Like, what are some things that you see us progressing with and that you'd like to kind of be a part of?
So one of the big hot topics right now in the Salt Lake Valley is the inland port.
Okay.
And the idea of this inland port is all the growth in shipping that's happening everywhere. I mean, it's already happening. If you go out to the Northwest Quadrant, it's developing into a port with no zoning. And that's why zoning came in. They were trying to make it not turn into a huge mess. So if we enhance that and we say, okay, let's split it up a little, maybe keep the wetlands going, maybe put half the inland port in Tooele County, half of it over here, make it not such a mess, push a spaceport into the West Desert, help multiple counties with our inland port system. Now imagine connecting that with Hyperloop. So Hyperloop, we're talking freight, not just people transport, but freight transport at theoretical ground speeds of up to 700 miles per hour. So moving goods ridiculously fast. Like if we're going to be talking about an inland port and saying Utah is going to be the center of all shipping and all commerce for the West, we're the crossroads of the West. Why would we not think about all the future forward shipping technologies that are being built now?
Yeah.
This isn't just some crazy idea of mine.
Let's keep ourselves as the crossroads of the West and transform that into the crossroads of the solar
galaxy.
System and the galaxy.
Well, yeah, because what was it? 160 years ago, we did the Golden Spike, where we finished the railroad. Why don't we revolutionize and start doing the modern, the golden rocket?
Let's do what the U.S. space program won't do. They did it in the 60s.
Yeah,
they managed it in under 10 years. They managed to land someone on the moon. And then today, from my whole childhood, your childhood, we've all just watched promise after promise and nobody delivers. Yet the greatest generation had no problem just figuring it out.
Hurry, because it was a race. It was a challenge to them. And now it's like, we're done. We did our thing.
But now the
you
challenge
guys do it.
is to save ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, we also need to recognize that greatest generation also bankrupted us. I mean,
their challenge was
everything that we have is
too.
Yeah. So, but no, it is a future. I mean, between SpaceX and Bezos's thing and all that. I mean, within 10 years, we're looking at a legitimate, fully functional civilian space program going around the world.
Yeah, and Zachary Moses is going to be the first one behind it, starting it.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we need to do.
Yeah,
we need the Great Salt Lake Spaceport.
Yeah,
doesn't that sound cool?
It does.
That does.
And can you?
I would rather have
like a little bit of water in the flats, and say we built a mound for the spaceport pad, so it was actually out in the flats with like 2 feet of water surrounding it.
That'd be
any
so
sort
cool.
of accident, anything, we've now got water.
And somehow collect the energy from the rockets launching and transfer that back into the electrical system. And
well, we could put like what are those actuators that collect electricity through vibration?
Yeah,
the whole pad.
Oh man,
vibration.
Totally. We'll be creating our own power as they do it and stuff. What would be cool too is that'd be a cool new thing on the license plate. The first space station or the Great Salt Lake Space Station, instead of like the greatest snow on Earth or like the Arches, we have the greatest port, the greatest space port on Earth,
the great and spacious spaceport.
Beyond the peaks.
I think that'd be kind of cool. That's like it opens up so much more. I mean, we could do importing, exporting
adventures next.
Instead of like the states right outside of us,
Frontier.
we could be shipping stuff from China here.
Utah.
Well, yeah,
next
you just
frontier.
be picking it right up, tossing it up,
right
setting
up,
it down. 30 minutes later, so you're talking fresh produce.
Oh, you
Imagine
eat the
moving fresh produce.
the sushi that we would have in Utah. Oh, that could be good.
That could be, and it wouldn't be Well, I guess if we're pumping from the Pacific, we'd have to deradiate all that water. But
well, yeah, that is true.
but we could do that.
Maybe we need to go. Well, I would say from the Gulf, but I think the Gulf's got a lot of problems too.
Yeah, the Gulf,
Atlantic. Like, we'd have to go all the way to the Arctic if we really want clean water.
Oh man, that would be great.
The problem is there's no such thing as clean water anymore.
Well, if we can start generating more snow here, then it won't be a problem anyway. So
well, and that's the other thing. rather than doing expensive desalination plants, if you imagine trying to desalinate all that water and all the briny, toxic sludge they'd be discharging back into the ocean.
Yeah.
Let the
Whereas
earth do
here,
it.
we just use the natural process that already does it.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
And think also of the boom to the economy. So if we were able to artificially recreate the Great Salt Lake to what it was and artificially increase the snow melt or the lake effect snow 3 or 4 times, imagine for the farmers.
Yeah.
I mean, no longer having to go on water restrictions in August and September, and they can actually water their crops full. Like, we no longer have to slow the flow because we got plenty.
Yeah, we lived in it. We have a closed hydrological system.
We'd be providing water to our neighboring states with that. Now, I do want to ask real quick. So the elephant in the room, you've got some big competition in the governor's race.
Oh, for sure.
How are you going to take on all this money and stuff being thrown at the competitors? Do we want to get to that after the break?
Yeah. Let's
hit the break first, and then we can definitely, address some of that. You're listening to Comic.Church. Find us on anywhere that you social media, Spotify, Pandora.
It's really easy to find our Facebook page, www.petertingle.org.
Yeah, we're also on Instagram, comicchurch.com, or Comic.Church,
Instagram.com/Comic.Church. Comic.Church everywhere.
petertingle.org.
Yes, and
use the tingle.
Respect the tingle. We all have the Peter Tingle within us, and if you just listen inward to your inner Peter Tingle,
feel it.
It will manifest the truth to you in all situations.
It's the burning in my bosom.
Feel for the tingle.
Respect the tingle. Visit our website, petertingle.org. You're listening to Comic.Church on K-Talk AM 1640, real local two-way talk, and we'll be right back after this.
That's
brief
a soundbite.
Commercial break. Hey there, comic book fans and believers in all things geekdom. And this is Pastor Drew, the Fairy God Bro. And I just want to let you know that all of us here at Comic.Church are working hard to build a place that we can all come to. A place of refuge, a place to be edified by the universes that inspire us the most. And this show, it's just the launching off point. We invite you to subscribe to our podcast, Comic.Church, using your favorite podcasting service. We're on them all. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, and more. You can also join us live each Sunday at 11:05 a.m. on K-Talk, AM 1640, and live stream with us on Facebook, where you can interact with us in the comments section and be part of the show. We got so much in store for 2019 and going into 2020, and we invite you to come along and be a part of it. We at Comic.Church know how important fans are, and we thank you for taking this chance and being our fans.
I am a veteran. I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet.
DAV helps veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe.
So veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory was finding the help I needed. Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Choosing your next Utah home should be a fun and exciting experience. As Utah's heritage home builder, Perry Homes is constantly striving to give our home buyers more for their money. More new homes in Utah, more desirable Utah home locations, more timeless designs, more inherent home value, and lasting pride of ownership. At Perry Homes, we make it our top priority to ensure the home buying process is as joyful and stress-free as possible. Our 40-plus year heritage has been forged on the principle of building Utah homes of high value in the communities where Utah families want to live, and giving our home buyers the quality of home we're proud to call a Perry home. Visit us at perryhomesutah.com to see current Utah home locations and available home styles and floor plans. Perry Homes. We build homes where Utah families want to live.
My name is Allison Johnson, and I'm an attorney with Peace Legal Law Firm. One of the reasons I became an attorney was to help couples with adoptions, and I am passionate about the legal work I do. Some adoptions are relatively straightforward, while others can be very complex. If you are considering an adoption, in the process of adopting, or have adoption-related questions, please don't hesitate to call me. Consultations are free. Please call 801-876-5297 and ask for me, Allison Johnson. That's 801-876-5297. Our website is peacelegal.net.
The sun's finally out, so get out there and enjoy. And don't forget to bring along the refreshing sound of K-Talk Media, 1640 AM.
Welcome back, comic fans. We now return to Comic.Church, leaving you right where we left off before the break. And now here's your host, Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbrother, the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay.
Welcome back to the Comic.Church. PeterTingle.org.
We're just in the studio tingling.
Feel the tingle.
As we talk to Utah's governor candidate for 2020, Zachary Moses.
Now, what party are we talking about here?
The Democratic Party. This is the
okay.
first time I've ever actually
That's
associated with a party, though. I've always been an unaffiliated voter.
Yeah, I'm an independent myself.
Yeah.
I'm an unaffiliated voter, but
I offend both sides.
Democrat, what do you call them? Delegate. So I'm a delegate and vice chair, House district chair, and also on the veterans thing. But I'm still
I have been a Republican
voter.
I've been in the Republican Party.
Did you know that Utah has not had a Democratic governor since 1985?
That was Matheson, and arguably one of the greatest governors we ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I still can't believe that. 1985.
He's the one who switched it so that you couldn't own any new mineral rights in Utah. You had to lease those mineral rights.
Mm-hmm.
So at least that way you can't just come in and be like, it's our mountain forever.
Yeah.
Now it's like, all right, you guys are being dirty.
Unless you're BYU.
Yeah.
And they did get that mountain this last couple of years.
Yeah. No. So Jesse had asked the question. Will you let's go off with that again.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, at least for me. And that is, and I don't mean to challenge you on this anyway, but I know that others
talking
are
about
asking.
my weight. I've told you that elephant, because I'm the size of an elephant, just doesn't mean you can bring it up all the time. Carry on.
Okay. So you're going up against this huge beast in Utah, being partly the Republican Party in Utah, which is well funded. You're going against some very well funded Republican candidates, potentially. Not all who have been announced yet, but to some rumors and different things and such. But across the board, there's a lot of money going into it. So how are you going to fight this? What's gonna give you that edge to be able to take on this beast?
Well, first off, I'm talking about stuff that none of them have even broached. They're all talking about the same issues they've always talked about.
How to take away Medicare for more people.
Yeah, we've got a $1 billion surplus, and they said we can't afford it. Do you know that up until 2016, the federal government paid 100% of the Medicaid expansion? Up until 2020, it's now 93% that they pay. So this is where the citizens have said, accept this as written, and they say no. And so in 2020, we switched to 90%, and that's where it will stay. So the way that our legislatures drag their feet, we lost out on a long time of spending and a lot of money. That's millions of dollars that we missed out on. Not only that, 15,600 people, according to recent studies, died unnecessarily because they wouldn't expand Medicaid. Citizens are mad. And I can't run as a Republican. They're the ones that are making the problem. They've been making it forever. They won't do anything about it. They're the ones who won't let you have your Medicaid. They're the ones who rewrote our laws and acted like our votes didn't matter
because they
gosh,
they act like they know better.
And I can't wear those colors. I
Yeah.
can't wear colors that take people's rights away. I
Yeah.
can't wear colors that would belittle.
And I think that's going to be a key part of this election. I think people, the citizens of Utah, are mad. I think the citizens of Utah, with maybe exception, I think the citizens of Utah are frustrated that their votes aren't being counted.
Well, the thing is, you finally get tons of people that get out and vote that haven't voted before. They finally vote, and then within a month later or whatever, they find out their vote didn't matter. It didn't even count. They don't even care.
Not just later.
Address it.
They like our legislature let us know before we even cast our votes.
Yeah.
They said it doesn't matter what you vote. We're going to rewrite it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what
So our
you
only
do.
option is to vote them out.
And
that's our only option. Vote
And we
them
have
out.
to get those same people out to the polls to vote for people like you that are going to stand up for their votes.
Well, and the political party doesn't matter. If you insist on voting red, yellow, blue, green, whatever
I like
it is.
rainbow personally.
Yeah, well, we should have a rainbow party.
Yeah.
Be nice and centrist.
Why not? Yeah. That's my daughter's favorite.
We
color,
don't
by the
have
way.
a centrist party, really. There isn't really like, oh, you know what? All of you have good points, and we're going to work together to make this work. It's like a big, and it doesn't make any sense at all that we don't have compromise.
No,
that's
they
oppression.
use a word compromise, but it's
Hey,
one of those where
Rochelle's
it's
watching.
not actually what it is. The compromise is not a compromise. They have their super majority, and they'll say, okay, now let's work out a compromise with both sides, where they'll then hold a gun to your head, say, if you don't support this,
How's it both sides when it's all one side? It's a political monopoly.
It is.
We
but
need
they
an
give the illusion.
antitrust lawsuit against our state government.
We do, and there also needs to be some RICO investigations into the whole shenanigans behind the replacement of Prop 2. And working with the church and secret back rooms and awarding distribution contracts.
That new law, it reads like somebody trying to make a legal drug cartel. There's deliberate shortages in supply, which will only enrich our black market.
And they're making the state of Utah a legitimate drug cartel, a state-run cartel. El Chapo would be jealous with what Utah.
State-run. So this is a Schedule I federally illegal substance. And our new law that our legislators wrote will put will make state employees handle and distribute an illegal substance. And because they're taking companies from outside of Utah, you can absolutely make a case that this violates federal interstate commerce.
Wow.
They're putting our charter at risk.
Yeah.
This is a poorly written,
and it
reckless
empowers the black markets as well, which makes you wonder where the investments of those that have voted and put this together are. Are they also involved in funding some of the black market out there as well? And is this designed to further improve their pockets?
Well, the people that were behind 301, several of them actually got distribution licenses. Of 8 of only 10, the state so 301.
It's not 10 anymore.
Yeah,
the new
it's
law
8.
is only 8.
Yeah. Although they're going to be a special session, they're talking about expanding that to 12. And in that case, there's also a few more of their people that are going to award those. And then they're also...
Honestly, that should probably get expanded to like 200.
Well, we should let the free market figure itself out.
Yeah, this is a Republican state. What's going on? Like, what happened to like free market capitalism?
And the best part, Connor Boyack,
who blocked me on Facebook,
so-called leader of the Utah Libertarian Party, was a chief negotiator of creating this state-run drug cartel. How libertarian is that? Like... They're all about the
Connor
market.
by blocking me has fueled a publicity nightmare for himself.
That kid, seriously, like.
Man, I mean,
anyway,
it also just bothered me that what you would see in the news that our legislators would tell us of what was happening in other states where they had legalized marijuana, and everything they were saying was bold-faced lies.
Oh yeah,
yes. All you have to do was drive across the border to Colorado, and
what? They're not honest in their fellow dealings with men.
Surprise, surprise.
Yep. No, the church, they're Marty Stevens, government liaison bullcrap, whatever he is, stake president, ran a full ends justify the means campaign. And that is the Utah way.
It's
ends justify the means.
Porter Rockwell excuse.
There's
wait, what's
no
that?
morality.
I know Porter
Rockwell Porter Rockwell in Joseph Smith's time, he was designated as basically the assassin for the church.
Porter Rockwell
and
was
given
Osama bin Laden for early Mormonism.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I will fight that one.
And
Porter Rockwell's like I've read all about Porter Rockwell. There's a lot of.
Are you sure you're not reading
truths.
about the cement company?
No, he's a full blown religious extremist. He was a Taliban for the Mormon
and minimally
theology.
He was given permission to drink, permission to smoke, permission
Murder.
and murder is
the Avenging
question.
Angels.
And he was I mean, Mark Twain wrote about him. And
read everything.
Yeah. Sean disagrees.
No, yeah, I disagree.
He couldn't drink.
I can't make too many comments on it. I don't know enough
he
about
was
the Porter Rockwell
he was
story.
given an excuse to do things that other members couldn't. That's the point. And that's what this is too. I'm sure a lot of them have had their second anointing, second endowment of sorts, giving them salvation, and as we lose all of our Mormon audience here.
No, but
Sean, we need to let Sean
the problem,
defend.
though, the problem though with that, if you go back and look at the legitimate, not correlated history of settling this valley, Porter Rockwell was used as a threat. If you don't do what the church is going to say, well, they're going to put Porter Rockwell on you, which means you're going to be taken up into the canyons and murdered and buried and never heard from again. And doing that again, it's an ends justify the means. Well, we solved our problem, but at what cost?
Mm-hmm.
You how can you hold up the moral high ground when you abandon morality to reach it? You're no longer moral.
Well, I mean, this is part of what's made me want to run. I grew up Mormon, as many of us did.
But that mindset is the foundation which the state still operates by.
Well, but the mindset of your average Mormon has nothing to do with the mindset of the state. They're just voting those people in because they've been probably told to, and not like someone's commanding them to.
There was
but
that
their
study
neighbors
that came
say
out.
to, everyone says to, and so they.
There was
do.
that study that came out this week that says 72% of the people in Utah, it's the most LGBT affirming friendly state.
We moved our LGBT company here because it was so gay here.
We have, but 3/4
Salt
of the
Lake
state supports it. But if you look at the legislature,
didn't we just have a guy in Provo? One of the leaders from Provo came out as gay. What's his name?
Ivy.
Yeah.
Alpine, not Provo.
I mean, the treatment by the church of the LGBT community is unacceptable. That I grew up Mormon, and that is not Mormon principle. That's not
It's not Christian. It's not Mormon.
That's not friendship. That's not fellowship. That's not compassion. We're supposed to be these welcoming people, and
so let's finish on that because we have 2 more minutes before we have to end. But we try to put things spiritually within the frame mindset of comics. So you say you kind of feel like you're a Tony Stark, Iron Man, superhero. Becoming governor, like how are you going to be the superhero to save us from this corruption?
The citizens have been being disenfranchised. They're not being listened to, and they're not being cared for. And I'm going to be the governor who gets up and stands up for you. I'm not running for governor for myself. I love what I do for a living. I don't need to put that on hold to go be the governor to fulfill some fantasy. I'm doing it because I'm seeing what's happening to my fellow Utahns. And when you hear that, you must be the change you want to see in the community. And when you hear people saying, why aren't we getting politicians who will do these things we're asking for, fight climate change, clean up our air, make sure we've got clean water and houses to sleep in. We have a 54,000 housing unit shortage in Utah, in a state where you're not supposed to allow homelessness from our own rules. So what I'll do, I will take care of you. I will make sure that you citizens, everybody, are taken care of, treated with respect, non-discrimination. Everyone is part of one human family. And I believe that this is an ideal that appeals to the Mormon community. They feel that way. They're all brothers and sisters, one human family.
I like that. I really like that. And that, recognizing we are all the same. Yet our strength comes from our diversity. not our oneness and everyone the same. It's in our diversity, and that's our strength. I mean, remembering that we could do anything if we all just accept people for what they are and stop trying to change and force people to fit a mold that they don't fit.
Stop thinking Utah and start thinking the universe.
Thinking humanity and
what else is possible. You're listening to Comic.Church on K-Talk, AM 1640, real local two-way talk. We'll be back next week. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.
Enough said.
Feel the tingle.
PeterTingle.org. Hey there, Comic.Church fans and K-Talk listeners. You can now listen to our show, Comic.Church, on your favorite podcasting platform just by searching for our show, Comic.Church. And the best part about podcasts, we edit out the commercials, so it's commercial free. Subscribe to Comic.Church Podcast today. It's a good thing. When the weather's nice outside and you're not in your car or near your radio, don't worry. You can take K-Talk Radio with you on the go by using TuneIn Radio. Just search K-Talk or visit ktalkmedia.com to find out more ways that you can listen on the go. K-Talk, real, local, two-way talk, wherever you go.
You're listening to the all-new K-Talk Media, KBJA 1640 AM, Sandy, Salt Lake, and the entire Wasatch Front, bringing you live, local, two-way talk.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Gordon.